Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bushka, and today we're going to be talking about this tank here, the T110E5. In fact, I'm going to do a bit of an American week this week. I'm going to do the T29, the T32, and the M103. I just feel like it, so let's go. Basically, I might not. I think we will. We'll see how we go. I was thinking about this. I got sent a T29 replay that I liked, so I started playing the T29. I went, you know, I do think it's actually a lot like the T110E5, and I went and played all through the T110E5 and a little bit of M103, and I went, you know what? I forgot how much I love this tank. The E5 is a really funny tank. It's a tier 10 tank that is kind of like, they call them a heavy imp, where it's not super quick or anything, but it's fast enough on the traverse. It's got a percentage point difference advantage on a lot of the tier 10 heavies, and it's not a super heavy, and it doesn't have super crazy armor, but it has enough armor that it'll get bounces on awkward angles, and it forces people to use heat when they're firing at its turret, which means that you're going to take less damage from big shells. It's one of these weird tanks that you don't see a lot of it in tournament play. It's not really what you call a tournament play tank, but for a lot of people, the E5 is one of the most player-friendly tanks in the game. There's actually this really weird thing where you start off with the T29 at tier... and by the way, this is a lovely game here that you're going to see from our amigo doing good things to bad people. But I found that interesting that he absolutely knew that there was someone in that bush, but that Waffle McTractor just was not going to move. Where the hell was I? Yeah, so you start off with the 29, which has just like this impervious freaking turret and a big pimple on the top, and end up with this E5 that's got this svelte turret, but isn't like impervious, but has much better penetration and gun handling. And you're going to see in the second game, which is a game I play on Mines, which is a classic E5 map, where the tank really excels because what it gets is a whole lot of penetration from its heat round. I run calibrated shells in the E5, and I think you should too, because the E5 has a wonderful opportunity. If you run heat on this tank and you run calibrated shells, you get nearly 375 millimeters of heat pen, which is a massive amount of pen for a heavy tank like this to have. And it's AP pen, which is pretty stock standard for a tier 10 heavy when you're running the calibrated shells, is 271, which again is very, very nice. Now you can run a rammer and up your DPM to nearly 2850, but running the heat shells, it just means that you get to play a peekaboo tank with a whole lot of pen, and it really is super value when you see it doing things like that. The value in that not missing a pen on an IS-4, for instance, or as you're going to see, the flat turret streaks of an E100 is absolutely tremendous, and it can allow the tank to do all kinds of nasty things. And this is a great game because this is not a super heavy tank, but in certain situations, as you're going to see in both the games you see today, you can play this tank at the front. You want to hide the chassis. Now, the chassis is this kind of weird thing that it shares with the M48A1 pattern where it's rounded. In the M103, it's rounded. So anything on the lower glacis is quite an easy pen, but it can be very awkward when you actually traverse the chassis a little bit. It can be very, very tough for it to get, you know, hit. It's got no side armor at all. You really don't ever want to show the sides. You don't want to try and side scrape this tank. You absolutely want to use basically the turret and nothing else as your armor. The turret and the upper part of the upper glacis. Have a look at our amigo here and how much spotting damage he had, because he played the tank from the front. He really got it forward and used it well. Look at that. Trace tickles, 4,859 damage, and nearly a full... where is he? Come on, Bushka, you slow coach. Did a lot of spotting damage. Sometimes when I record these, I leave it on this screen for too long. I'm having a coffee, talking to the dog, saying, hey, dog, how are you, my little gentleman? How are you going today? Oh, indeedly doodly. Come on, buddy. Anytime now. Bang! Let's do this thing. Let's not even look. No. It was a lot of spotting damage. And you're going to see me here on Mines. Professionalism, journalism, integrity, professionalism, and not looking at ism. This is a great example of two tanks you're going to see go up here. One's the Chieftain Mark 6 and one's me, the E5. The Chieftain is over-aggressive here. He really does push up way too hard. He's all desperate to get damage in. One of the things you have to understand with the E5 is because you can't offensively side-scrape the tank like an IS-4 or even like be super aggressive like an IS-7, you've got to be very, very careful in your setup. The only real thing you can force the enemy to do is take a hit if they are desperate to move across and hit you. But what you'll often find in these situations, like mines, is if you are in a hull down position, there's generally a TD behind you. This is like the middle run of Dead Rail, you know, parts of Mayan Ruins, all kinds of maps where you can like put it right up and use that 8 degrees of gun depression. The IS-8 actually doesn't do a bad job here. He's waiting for me to fire, but that chieftain is just, I'm telling him negative. Negative. Don't do it, dude. Like, you go forward, you're going to die, but he's desperate to get shots in. And he's the same kind of tank as the E5. He just cannot afford to be doing that. He can't turret turn, and he does not have the armor. Very, very similar tank to the E5, right? In fact, I think it might even be a little bit better, but I love the E5's armor. I think the E5's armor is just a touch more on song. You've got to let the game come to you as an E5 if you're going to play front line. You've got to let it just slowly develop. Now, it used to be the case that this tank had the big pimple weak point on the top. Now, a lot of people like that, like Amanet and a few others, because it would bait shots out. And you could bait shots from the enemy because they were trying to pen that turret hatch. I didn't like that at all. I thought that it was kind of crazy that it had that when there were so many turrets out there with similar amounts of gun depression that didn't have any of those kind of weaknesses. But you can see how beautifully she handles and how if you just leave the turret at the top of the incline and don't overburn it, if you just take quick shots at good targets with high pen, as the game develops, people get frustrated and they start pushing forward and you start really punishing them. That upper glacis, it's a really strong upper glacis. It's a lot like the FV4202. People don't realize how strong the upper glacis on this tank is. You can take a lot of punishment. And as you're backing down a hill like that, you can really do good things. You've got to be careful not to overextend. Once you overextend in this tank, you're going to get slaughtered. But if you just gently move forward, you can do all kinds of good things. Now, things look grim here. It's 3-on-4. We've got a Jaegeru down the bottom who is going to need some support. So what I'm going to do is the obvious thing. I'm going to roll up to the top here, and I'm going to try and get shots on them if they push in on the Jaegeru, and it should at least allow us to farm a little bit of damage up. That IS-4 down there, it's a Stalin's chosen tank. Obviously, I'm going to foot one into the dirt there. Wonderful stuff. And I remember we talked about the heat rounds on this tank. I'm immediately aware that that is the 12.8 centimeter gun. We go to the heat rounds, look at the heat, just eat that E100 alive. This is amazingly, this is a great example of exactly what goes on here. The heat rounds on this tank when you run calibrated shells are godsends. Look how often I just go straight through the face and surrounds of that E100. He's got absolutely no chance. Those heat rounds are eating him up alive. And then I'm obviously going to switch to an AP when there is an opportunity for an AP shot. And then we pull back to the heat rounds. And that Jaegeru has turned it on its head down there. He's killed the 183. He sat the Object 140 down. And this is looking suddenly like a whole different kettle of fish. And this is how you play this tank. You've got to get it hull down. You have to get it hull down. It doesn't matter where the rest of the team is going. If they're running a heavy route or something, go with them, sure. But make sure you always have hull down cover there. Look at that heat. Like, I don't care. If you don't like heat in the game, that's fine. If you think it's gold spamming, I'll tell you what. Next time you've got a tank that I can't pen, if you just turn side on and that'd be fair, that'd be nice. I'll be happy with that. And I try to give this Jaegeru the last kill with the IS-4, but he just won't fire HE. He's firing big, sweaty wads of AP into this IS-4. I'm like, you have it, because you're on 3 kills. This is going to give you a 4, a top gun. Like, this is what you should be doing, dude. Just take that HE, and I'm like, come on, man. I'll tell you what, I'll even track him just so that he is in front of you and you can get that HE kill. But he's not having a bar of it. I'm like, please, just shoot the dude. I'm just like, HE? Nah, whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed that. The E5, don't miss it. There's a lot of tanks out there that are great at tier 10, but this is such a forgiving driver and such a good tank. And it's such a tank that people sleep on it. Great pen, great mobility, solid gun depression, solid turret. do yourself a favour, grab the E5 and go out there and have a good time. I'm Bushka. Thanks so much for watching. Look forward to American Heavy Week on here on the Bushka Blitz channel. Until next time, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now. See you, team. Rock and roll, etc., etc., etc.